makes most women start a business? Is it passion, money, or freedom? Welcome to Female Founders, the podcast that takes you behind the scene with women who are founders and CEOs to help you start and scale a successful business of your own. I am your host, Nagelia de Ravin. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Female Founders. In this episode, we are going to have a conversation with Janice Shokrian. She is the founder of Tausi, a pillowcase that can be used with or without a pillow. Hi Janice, thank you for this opportunity to have a great conversation with you. I'm looking forward to this conversation and I'm super excited as well. You are the founder of Tausi Brands and a pillow covers that provide comfort and support for the head and neck. This is so much different and excited to actually learn about it, because there's something different that I haven't seen before. And I think that seeing the way that it can help people, and I'm super excited to actually share with other women and other people out there that might need that comfort when it's come to the head and the neck. So can you share with us the experience and how did you actually even come up with the idea of starting Tausi in the first place? Because I know there's a personal story behind it as well.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. Tausi is a very personal story to me. I was visiting my elderly father in a nursing home, and when I walked in, I saw him asleep in a geriatric chair, but he was slumped over, and he looked so uncomfortable. And I knew I couldn't do anything for his end-of-life experience, but I thought I could make him more comfortable. And so I really set out to do that. His pillow had fallen behind him. I lifted up his pillow while he's still sleeping. I added a throw pillow to the back of his chair. That pronated him forward. I went and got my travel pillow out of the car because he was in Texas and I live in Oregon. And so I had my travel pillow. I put that around his neck thinking that's going to support his head and neck because people buy travel pillows all the time. And I tried that. I was fussing so much. I woke him up. He went to hug me. All of his pillows fell on the floor. And the caretaker was there and she was so kind. And she picked up all the pillows and put them behind him. And I looked at the floor and the floor was dirty. And I thought, oh, that's terrible. And so I just felt that he needed to have reliable support and something that wouldn't fall on the floor. And I did some rough estimates on the size of the chair. And I thought I would find something on Amazon or Alibaba. And I researched it until 3:30 in the morning because I was only in Texas for a short period of time and I couldn't find anything. And so I came back to Oregon trying to sew something, and I don't sew well, but I figured out what would make me comfortable. And so it was really fun because my dad had some memory loss, but I would talk with him weekly on the phone. I'm like, I think, Dad, we've got something here. What do you think about this? And we'd sort of collaborate a little bit together. And his business acumen came back to him. And so we were able to talk business throughout the whole process. And so he was able to see my first prototype.
Wow, that is exciting. So pretty much he got to enjoy what you Tausi as well, right?
Right. Well, no, he did not. Actually, he passed before I could send it to him. Yeah, but my mom got to enjoy it too. I actually went to Texas and I saw her asleep in her lazy boy in her house. And I have a picture of her because she's all slumped over. And I thought, oh my gosh, you need one of my products. And so at that time, I was really expecting to go into B2B and sell directly to nursing homes and hospitals to really help patients in a similar situation. So I launched in 2020, in March of 2020, which we all know March of 2020 was when the world shut down. So I had really bad timing. Yeah. So then I had a pivot from there and really think about how I can get this product to people who really needed it. And during the pandemic, I felt like people needed it more than ever because you're working from home. It provides actually even lumbar support. I use it in my desk chair every day. So it's not only just for the head and neck, but it's for the back and anybody who wants to be comfortable. And I think everybody deserves to be comfortable.
I want to be comfortable. I don't know about me. I know I need to, And you kind of make it sense even when you talk about the when you're traveling with the travel pillows. I never really find them comfortable, telling you the truth.
No, my vertical orientation Tausi is perfect because it fits right into your airplane seat. And I personally don't like anything around my neck, obviously a turtleneck, but I'm happy with. However, I like to be able to lean back and have my head and neck supported, but not something that I'm feeling trapped into. And so this, you can just get up and move forward. When I take it on the airplane, I knew I had something when I brought a prototype on the airplane, and one of the flight attendants stopped me and just said, "What is that?" And then the other flight attendant came and she goes, "That looks like that really works." And so they're the ones who are always on the plane. So obviously they see a lot of travel pillows, and this one, I'm biased, but it works because it just gives you that support that you need.
Exactly. So when it's come to you can use it for any type of pillows, or you have just a certain type of pillows you can use it for?
Well, the reason why I made a pillowcase is because I don't like all different kinds of densities of pillows. And I think it's a very personal experience. You might like a really firm pillow, and I like a really soft, feathery pillow. And my husband has a really tall pillow, and I have a really small pillow. So I just don't think I should presume everybody's comfort. And so this way with Tausi, you get to personalize your own comfort. You can use it with a pillow in it or without a pillow in it. So it's really up to you. You can use it on a couch, on a hammock, in lounging by the pool. We all know that our neck gets tired. And if you fall asleep at the pool, your head will you're in Florida, right? It will fall from side to side. And so you do want that comfort.
I like that. So also that you have more than 2 decades of nonprofit management experience. How was the transition to entrepreneurship like?
Good question. I was thinking about this, and I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've always had lots of different inventions and ideas, and I think it comes from a desire to always solve problems. And nonprofits enabled me to solve a lot of problems because there was very little staff and very little money. So you had to be super creative in nonprofits to stretch a nickel. And so I got really good at stretching a budget and kind of running my own organization with the nonprofits, and really being scrappy, resourceful, and asking for money, which is exactly what I do as an entrepreneur.
So when you talk about Tausi, so I know that you reach out to nursing home, hotels and things like that, but can also individual buy it as well, like if they wanted to go to your website?
That's correct. That's really where I'm selling it now, on my website. So I launched again in June. So it was pretty exciting to start getting it out there. And actually, our first customer was somebody who is in a tragic situation, and her family member wanted her to be comfortable. And that was really, it warms my heart because that's what it's for. Everybody should be comfortable. My son used it in college when he was reading his textbooks in bed. I just feel like there's a time where we just need that hug. And Tausi kind of, when you cradled your son when he was a baby and you put him in the crook of your arm, that is what Tausi brings you back to, that feeling of being nurtured and hugged. When you fall back into Tausi, you feel automatically supported. And I think we all kind of need that sometimes.
Yes, indeed, we do. Do you have any plan to add for like chairs? Like a chair cover?
Oh, yeah. That was one of my original designs. You're good. Yeah, I was thinking about a chair cover. It really is so adaptable. Like I have the horizontal and vertical. The vertical gives more lumbar support if you put your own pillow in there.
Mm-hmm.
So you get the top and the back. It's really my expansion line, I think I'm going more towards right now, like hotels where you can have a product that can be by the poolside. So it's more of a towel like fabric. I'd like to see it on cruise ships. I'd like to see it at resorts. And then I have a camping line. So we could go into really lightweight so people can take it with them camping. Because frankly, you don't really pack a pillow when you go camping. You usually stuff your t-shirts like together to
Sure.
make one. And this way it could be like something that people might take with them. So I'm
Wow.
hopeful.
That is big plan, but I think that with you, I don't think it's I know unstoppable at all. I think you're gonna make it happen in the next few years to come. So, what is the USP of Tausi pillow covers, and how did you use your past experience to actually leverage the business?
Yeah, how did I use what was the first part of your question?
What is the USP of Tausi pillow covers, and how did you use your past experience to leverage the business?
Mm, good question. It drew upon everything I've done in the past. To be able to bring Tausi here. I think that this has really been a confluence of all of my past experience and also my intentions. When I was 4 years old, actually, my mom used to iron my dad's shirts, and I remember watching a soap opera that she was watching, and there's a woman who was an owner of a company on the soap opera. It's the first time I ever saw a woman in power, and representation really does matter because I always thought of people who have children stay home. Mom stayed home, and I was privileged to be able to stay home for the first 10 years of my children. And then when I went to work, I really wanted to go big. I had big plans for myself. I wanted to be able to run nonprofits. I thought nonprofits would be easier to get into than for profits and run a company at that point. I felt that they were more desperate and would be willing to look at me. so, um, so I used some of my experience in volunteerism. I was a volunteer director of one of my first jobs, and I really learned that how you treat people is imperative on how you do everything. Because if you're only paying people with a thank you, you treat them really, really well, and how to grow a volunteer
Absolutely.
program. Yeah. And I continued my love of volunteering, like in my kids' schools. And then when I went to start go back into the workforce, um, I started out as a marketing person for a nonprofit, and their executive director left after 3 weeks, and they thought I could do it, and they took a chance on me. They were also desperate, and I was grateful, and I just jumped in and I learned everything I could. I read every book I could. So I took my experience as being an executive director of a nonprofit and then pivoted that to running Oregon's film and television industry, their trade association. And I've always wanted to pass laws. So I got to pass laws for that and meet our legislators and our governor. And that made me really happy. I had a very unhappy experience with my last nonprofit where I felt that the board and I were not aligned, and it became really a really challenging time, and I wound up leaving that organization, which was really hard because I put so much into it, and it felt like a betrayal on and it was very painful because I thought if I do really well, people would see how great I am, and I'm trying really, really hard, and don't they see that? And I've grown the organization, and I've grown the revenue, and I've had all this. I passed 3 laws in 18 months, and I'm like I had all these accomplishments, and it wasn't enough. And I think I got to the point where I just started to say like I need to stop trying to fill everybody else's dream I was filling the dreams of, you know, great filmmakers and actors and musicians. And I wasn't doing my dream. And my dream was always to run my own, to take one of my ideas and bring it to market. But I didn't have an idea at that time. And so I went back to some files I had, like I reinvented the ice cream cone. Because because my kids would drip, and I hated dripping ice cream cones. So, um, and I thought, no, that doesn't make me passionate. And then when I went to visit my dad was when I I wanted to find a solution for him, and then I started taking entrepreneurial classes, and I couldn't afford it because we have 2 kids in college, and I'm trying to think like, is this viable, and I'm still applying for work, and I would show people my idea, and early on I made them sign an NDA. I was like so nervous about showing it to anyone.
Oh my goodness.
I just, people were responding to it. And I thought, I think I have something here. And I was like, I really brought it to so many groups to tell me that I'm doing something wrong and to tell me that I'm foolish to keep pursuing this. And I wasn't getting that response. And so I just kept taking it a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further. And then and also I threw myself into anything that was free. So I'm like the human experiment. If they had like a free, like one organization's like, we're going to do some free entrepreneurial things. I'm like, I'm there. So, and I shamelessly networked, and I felt that people should want to talk to me and help me. And I think that sometimes you just have to ask. And I just called people relentlessly. I was told no a lot, and I just kept calling back and just saying, I'm that person who has that pillow idea. Would you want to get a coffee? And I bought a lot of coffee for people. And I would drink water. I would get there early, and I would have hot water because I was like, I don't want to like pay for 2 coffees. So I would buy 1 coffee and drink hot water, but I had the lid on it, so they didn't know I wasn't having coffee.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. One thing that you said is you're making even it was hard for you to leave the nonprofit, but you're making everyone else successful, but except for you're helping other people create something for themselves and to help other people, but you are not pursuing your dream. And that seems to be something like us as women we like to do often. We always feel like we need to take care of everyone else. We have to take all of it into our shoulder and forget the fact that we have our own destiny too, our own life, things that we really want to do in this world. And I'm grateful that you figure it out early before it's too late, because some don't have.
I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. It doesn't feel like I'm in my 50s now. So I just thought like, my goodness, if not now, when? And I did my kids are now just launched as of last weekend. And it's really hard for me to have shifted to put myself and my needs first. And it took me decades to, and I guess I would tell younger women, don't do that. Don't discount your dreams and your desires. You really need to go for it. Go for it. And I'm really grateful that I'm doing it. I do feel a little bit late to the game because I'm so inspired by younger women like yourselves and just like pursuing what you want to do for you and how the lifestyle you want to have for you.
Exactly. So you have to be able, look at it this way. And my grandfather used to say something to me is that if you take care of yourself, then you can go out there and take care of more people. But when you don't take care of yourself, you don't have the energy and anything else that's come with it to actually go out and help more people. That all you are doing is bringing yourself down. And when you are down, what can you possibly do for people? Not much, really. So if you really create something that can help other people, you're actually helping more people than when you are not doing what you love doing.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. It's really interesting because, with the idea that I came up with something that's like a comfort, I think gave me a little bit of license that I'm actually doing this for other people when I really am doing it for myself too. It's providing me with that desire to fulfill my dream of starting a business and making a successful impact for my life and for others. When my kids were sick, I called myself the queen of comfort in my house, and I would look at them and they didn't look comfortable, and I would have them like flip on the couch when they were watching TV because they weren't feeling well, and I'm like, you have to flip, you got to get your neck comfortable, and I would always, and they'd be like, Mom, no, and I'm like, well, let me just fix your pillows, please. And I'm like, no, I'm like, give me 30 seconds, no, and I'm like, okay, 15 seconds, just give me, and I would be relentless, and they would finally just get me to go away. They were like, okay, fine. And then I would fix their pillows, and they would lean back like, ah. And ironically, that's exactly what Tausi behind me does. Every time somebody goes back into it for the first time, they have the same reaction. It's a return to comfort. And that satisfies me. It makes me so happy.
You see, so you are helping people. You are happy. You are helping people, and at the same time, you are fulfilling something that's you feel fearful with it. You feel, I don't know. It's like that moment, just like you're feeling right now. That moment of like, I'm making a difference in this world. So that's what you are doing, and it's the best feeling ever in this world,
It really is. When you live a purposeful life, when you live your authentic self, I spent years feeling like the imposter syndrome, where everybody else was either smarter than me or more attractive. As a girl, you're always judged on your looks, if they're thinner or they're, it's just those words that go through your mind are so detrimental, and they're so cruel, and if you start listening to them, it rocks your world if you start to listen to that narrative. And I really I felt a little bit as a poser as an executive director at times, because I'm like, there's people who've had more experience than I have had. I've spent a decade in my 30s home with my kids and volunteering. Who gives me the right to be running something? But also, I didn't want to fail. I never wanted to fail on my watch. And of course, getting to the point where I felt like I was being let go from a company feels like a huge failure. And
yeah.
It took me a really long time and a lot of self-healing work and a lot of podcasts that I was listening to and journaling and really questioning who am I and why do I what do I want to bring, and what do I want to be known for, and what do I want to do? I jumped into volunteerism. To me, that suits my soul. And so I volunteered. My city had an advisory board for the 50 plus advisory board, and to talk about the senior community in my city. And I thought, well, that's my next age group. So I was like, I might as well get to know them, because I'm going there. I can make my next age group have a good life. Then that's self-serving a little bit, and it was kind of funny. And then while I was there, I was really inspired by these people who are decades older than me, trying to make a difference. And I launched a citywide. My town is called Lake Oswego, Celebrate Seniors Day. And I made and I brought in vendors to show our seniors what their resources were in our community. And they allowed me to showcase one of my prototypes and to have people try it. So was able to have a focus group and people checking out my product and giving me real-time feedback. So it was really fun to I was on that committee for 3 years and to work on that and to give back. I think that's just who I am. I have to do two things at once: a business plus volunteerism.
You like to give. So what can I say? That's it. It's a wonderful thing, We need more women like you that want to give a hand all the time, because I met some women where I want to run like a chicken so fast. I'll even lay the eggs while I'm running. That's how fast I want to run away from them. So it's great to meet women like yourself that want to help, that want to give a hand all the time, even in your busy schedule, because not every woman is like you, unfortunately.
I wish they were, though. I think women really need to particularly help other women and not see each other as competition, but to see each other as how can I help you? Like I needed help, and I reached out to many women who have walked my path and have been successful entrepreneurs. And it was a slim margin that returned my call, and that made me sad. I really felt like we can do better at helping each other, and I'm of the mindset, if I know how to do something, I'm willing to share it. I'm willing to help. I'm willing to get in the trenches with someone and help them figure it out. Because if it just takes a phone call and I can get somebody further ahead, why not? Yeah. Why not help somebody? Yeah. And so I just
go ahead, Jenny. Sorry.
I was going to say it just makes me sad that I think, particularly in today's climate, with what's going on with women's rights in this country, we need to help each other more and more.
Yes, we do. And then that's something that I think that women like yourself, and if we keep on paving the path, eventually our next generation will be different. It's okay to help each other. It's not a competition. For me, the way I see it, there's a lot out there for all of us. We don't need to compete. We don't need to backstabbing each other. We don't need to do all these things. We just need to give a hand when we need to, How can I help you? What kind of problem do you have that I can provide to you? What can I help you solve today? How can I give you my shoulder to cry on? Because sometimes we just need that shoulder to cry on. Seriously, that's all we actually really need. It's just another woman that can understand what we're going through in this world. Why do you think men want to be women? Duh. So it's these things that we need to wake up and realize that if we help each other, we will get there faster rather than just pulling each other down and then getting there slower,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope more women hear what you said. It's really imperative that we help each other out. And, we judge each other so much, whether you breastfeed or bottle feed, organic baby food or you make it yourself or store-bought, because that's what you can do. And that just really always bothered me so much when my kids were little, that people sit in judgment of each other. And if we just say, sometimes that's the best you can do. It's just the best you can do at that time. And just give each other more of the benefit of the doubt.
Well, the worst you can do is, how can I help? Why don't you just ask that question instead?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, a quick question for you. How is your brand different from the others in the market?
My brand, it's not a pillow. It's a pillowcase. The pillowcase has not been changed since 1875 when people were coming out with pillowcases. They might put lace on the pillowcase. There is a couple of pillowcases that now out there that have a roller that goes underneath the neck. But if you have something under your neck, you still tend to turn your head to the side when you're sleeping. And that for me is where the pain comes. And now you see lots of pillows out there that cradle your head and neck. And, but I never wanted somebody to have to buy another pillow. You have so many pillows that you wind up in your closet. And how many pillows do we need when you can just transform your pillow with the towel? And therefore you can have it when you need it. And if you don't need it every night, then don't use it every night. But if I have my prototype number 2 that I use every evening because I like to read a book in bed. And that is like perfect for me to lean against and cock my head, which I normally do, and just read my book. Or watch a movie on my iPad. It gives you that extra oomph. And that little square pillow insert is, for me, it's when you're reading a book in bed and you just are always looking for that little pillow to put behind your head. That's what that is. That extra little 2 inches that you need, so your neck is not looking down. You're really comfortable, and I'm all about what's comfortable.
I know what you mean, because I like to, by like 7 o'clock, I like to make my tea and go to the bed with my laptop, and I have the iPad on the other side, and I'm like that. And the next thing I know, I'm like, oh, that hurt. Yes.
You need one of these.
I do.
Hook you up with this. I would love to hook you up with one, just because it's really, it is something that you don't know you need until you use it. Well, I take it back. Something that when you use it, you realize, wow, I needed this a lot sooner. It really is. It's so comfortable. And a friend of mine's son had major surgery, and he had to be upright for a week, and during his recovery, and he used one. He didn't use it for the first 2 nights, and he had neck pain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gave you one to use. And so he finally strapped it to the back of his chair, and he was so excited because he's like, I woke up without neck pain. And my husband, he became an adapter of and so excited about my product when he had a torn retina in his eye and had eye surgery. And he had to sleep upright for a week. And he asked his ophthalmologist, because, how do you do that? And the ophthalmologist is like, we just prop pillows up around you. Normally people have about like 20% scarring on their eye. And he was really nervous about scarring. And so, and I said, Alex, let's get my prototype. And at that time I was on iteration number 3. And so I just set him up, put the Tausi, and at that time we called it Regal Dreams, behind him. And he leaned back and he's like, okay, we'll see. And then the next morning he woke up, he goes, I slept so well. I knew my head wasn't going to move. I felt really comfortable and was so excited about it. And I was so happy. And it was just kind of like I got him to be like, that's kind of a cute idea, to this is a great idea. This works. This is fantastic. I'm really behind it. And, I started this while my kids were in college. Not a good time to start this. Not. But to have his support meant the world to me.
Oh my goodness. So with work from home becoming a norm and added work hours and stressing people out physically and mentally, how do you think Tausi as a brand brings some sort of relaxation to them? Relaxation?
Excellent question. Well, for example, I use it daily for lumbar support. So it's behind my chair. I have a standing desk, and I have a stool, and I just throw it behind. I don't even strap it in. You don't have to. Strapping it makes it stay in place. My sister-in-law uses it for her desk, for her chair at her desk. She works at home. We're always striving to extend our workday. Unfortunately, we all feel like we have more that we always have to be doing. And if we
Mm-hmm.
can, and therefore we're neglecting our comfort a lot of times, and we don't realize that we've been in an awkward position, or we until we start to stand up, and then we feel like, oh, that hurt.
Right.
So it's like, why not start in comfort to begin with? And with Tausi, you just can adjust the comfort to personalize it for yourself. I don't tell you how to be comfortable. I just give you the tools to be comfortable.
Exactly. So pretty much I can, like the chair I'm sitting right here, I could just put the pillow behind it and that's it.
Yep, it hugs your back. Perfectly hugs your back and gives you that extra support that you didn't know you needed until you try it.
That's for sure. So question, can you buy, is it one pillow can be adjusted for different things, or it depends on what you are looking for?
Great question. The difference between the vertical and the horizontal, it's interesting. I started it with the horizontal. So with the U-shaped foam insert, which the foam zips out, so you can unzip it and pull that piece out of it. That was one that I felt worked better for a lazy boy, and that's why I really created a geriatric chair, something that would slip around the chair. And then the horizontal was because some people like to have the pillow go all the way down and not add another pillow. I have a lot of pillows on my bed. I always have. And so the horizontal was perfect for me. The vertical is perfect for, I think, putting on a lazy boy actually, or or airplane, or a lounge chair on my couch. There's so many decorative couches that don't come up high enough so you can relax, but they're beautiful couches, but the back is lower. And so you just put the horizontal on the couch and you created an extra back to your couch. So it's really, I would like people to get in there and figure out what works best for them in their situation, because really comfort is personal, and you should personalize your comfort and mash it up, make this work for you. There's so many ways to use it. My son uses it for on his lap, to put his computer on it, to work on it with his
Oh,
computer, because you have air circulation going through it because of the U shape, so your laptop's not overheating, but it raises it up enough that your neck is not strained forward, because we're always looking down too much, and it keeps your head and neck more aligned, so you're not having that strain right in the back of your neck.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
and
did.
then, honestly, if you have any animals, the first thing any animal will do when they see a Tausi will be curl up inside the U, because animals recognize what's comfortable. Yeah,
Oh, that's for sure. They do like that.
they do. So it's a when I was first working on it, my cat would always be in my office with me, and just would, if one of my Tausies was on the bed next to me, he would, because I'm in a guest room, he would curl up next to the into the Tausi, and I was like, okay, well, worst case scenario, if people don't like it, it will become a cat bed.
I think we need it. But if you like to make the cat one, you're free to do that too. But we need it. We need your
Mhm.
products.
I hope to make one, and I'm still working on it, a smaller one for children.
Oh,
Children
good
could use
idea.
this. And, it breaks my heart to see like pictures of children in hospitals, and just something that just makes them feel hugged when their parents aren't there with them.
Right.
So that's the goal.
But also, I know that you like to work with nonprofits when you're not working on Tausi. So I know you only talk about one nonprofit that you work with, you volunteer your time with. Anything else you like to share about your time of giving to, especially with nonprofits and helping your community?
Oh, sure. after I completed my term on the 50 Plus Advisory Board, we have a citywide book club. And this book club likes to take on books that are really impactful for the community. We read, we read Caste, The Origins of Our Discontent, and really talked about systemic racism and we address systemic racism in our community, which has a large white population, and how are we not as inclusive as we really should be. And then we took on another book this year about the Chinese immigration experience,
Oh.
And that was called How Much of These Hills is Gold, and we do. I was on the events planning committee for those books, and when we were doing cast, I came into the committee, and they asked if I could come up with ideas. We read the book, and then people were coming up with amazing ideas, and I just kept going back to how food is a unifier, and food brings people together. And so one of our city council members is his name is Masen Maboop, and he's from Senegal. And so I was chatting with him, and I said, I would love to be able to have you share one of your favorite dishes from your country, and we can teach people how to make that food, because I think if people learn how to make other people's food and we break bread together, then we break down barriers. And so because of my experience in the film and television industry, I knew how to produce a show, and I knew of a commercial kitchen that had a studio set up, and I just contacted everyone, and again my nonprofit experience kicked in, where I'm like asking things for free and how to get this, because it's a nonprofit helping nonprofit, and how do we work together, and how do we promote each other and do a win-win situation. And they just thought it was a fantastic idea, and that became a really popular event. And we were able to do that because during COVID, we were watching everything on our screens. And the cooking show, I had the mayor become the host, and our mayor, his family owns 3 restaurants. So he was a natural host to talk about food. And then, so he made this amazing Senegalese chicken dish. And then last year I produced just this spring, I produced another TV show for making dumplings, tiger dumplings. And so we talked really about the Asian experience in our community and how we can be more aware of the racism that goes on in the Asian community with the pandemic origins that they thought they traced to China. And really just wanting to uplift each other and just say, this is not a time to polarize each other. We really need to come together. And I think food is something that we all need, and it's a way we can share our stories.
Yes. And this is the time, I think that one thing we can learn from COVID is that we need each other back, because we were not expecting that at all. And COVID didn't come just to, to do nothing. COVID come to hit, and it hit really hard. And a lot of us gone, a lot of us lose close friends, family members, loved ones. And I think one thing we can learn from it, we need to have each other back. We need to support each other, because a lot of people lose their job, don't have a place to go, kids in the street. It's sad.
Oh, it devastates me. It really does.
Yes.
I think, I have a need to give back. It's just part of my DNA. And that's why I have Tausi Cares, where right now I feel that I want to give back to women, and particularly women who have to leave their states for any personal reasons. I'd love to be able to support them with the Tausi, to be able to give them that hug that they can't get at a vulnerable time in their life. Yes. So I have to figure out how to make that happen. I don't know how yet. It's important to me that I help. And I know Tausi helps people feel comfortable. And And I think that if I can help women feel comfortable in a very scary time in their lives, I would like to do that.
Absolutely. I'm sure right now you don't have a plan for Tausi Care, but I'm sure that whatever you decide to go with, to do with that, it will be helpful, because anyhow you can help, it's always helpful,
Mm-hmm.
big or
Yeah.
small.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm with your podcast, which has a great reach, and being part of your magazine, which I feel so honored to be. It's important to be able to say out there for women to be your authentic self, to do what you need to fulfill your purpose, because we all came here with dreams. We all came here for a reason.
Yes, absolutely. So, with everything that's happened in the past few years, and what has been your biggest challenge and biggest support in your entrepreneurial journey?
My biggest challenge is not knowing what I don't know, if that makes sense. I feel like um, every time I turn around, I'm hit with another path I have to go down, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
And so, and I'm afraid always of not knowing the questions I need to ask to help illuminate the path. So it's really challenging. And some days I have to just be a little patient with myself and then dive into figuring it out, like barcodes. Who knew barcodes would be like something that would stop me in my tracks, and all the bureaucracy that goes with barcodes. And and then I take a deep breath, and I'm like, okay, I let myself stew in, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And then have a cup of tea, and then do some self-care, and then dive into it. And then my eldest was able to help me figure out barcodes and asking for help. It's been hard, to ask for help, but I've learned to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's been my biggest challenge. And the second part of your question was
Your biggest support.
biggest support. Uh, biggest support. Gosh, friends, family, strangers. Like strangers, when I mean strangers, people who come at night. I listen to a lot of podcasts because I don't sleep very well, because I feel some energy about what I have to accomplish, and I feel driven, and I feel like sleep sometimes is not something that I come to easily. And so my mind is always going, and I listen to podcasts like yours. I listen to podcasts of women inspiring and helping other women and women's stories. And that's been a huge support for me, for my healing journey, my resolve to keep getting things done and to keep pushing forward. So they don't know that they're supporting me, but those stories support me tremendously.
You know what, Janice? I love what you just said, because I think sometimes some women just don't think that what they are doing is helping other women, but it is helping other women. Just because they don't say anything doesn't mean it doesn't help them. So I'm grateful you say that, because I needed to hear that, and I think other women need to hear that too.
Well, thank you. I believe it. It's really kept me going. Your stories of why you started what you Wom Lead and Womel, and why you started your podcast is inspiring to me. You wanted to be with your son. It's a desire to do something that you don't have a roadmap to do. Like I felt like my family was always in banking. When I was growing up, they were bankers. My sister was the youngest head teller of the bank, and my other sister worked at the bank. And I wrote a jingle for the bank. I sung it on the radio, and I went and did summer stock theater. I was like, I had to find my path, and didn't have an example of how to do it. And when you went out to do your magazine and your podcast, you took a leap of faith in yourself. And I feel like I gave myself permission in my late 40s, early 50s to give myself permission to take a leap of faith. And I have a safety net of women like you and other women entrepreneurs who've done it. Because if I fall, you guys bounce me back up. It's kind of like on a trapeze. I'm like, okay, I can do it again. I can swing again. And that's what I really lean on. I lean on other women who've done it.
Yes, and we need that, and even for myself, I need that. Sometimes I might think I don't, but at the end, I do. Either if I have to call my mom to cry, whoever I need to make that phone call to, but I do. And it's hard being a woman in business, but when I get to listen to other women's stories and then talk to them and understand where they come from, and then I'm just grateful, and I think that starting Womel was the best thing I could have done in my life, and I wouldn't have done it without my son. So I think that everything that happened in this world happened for a reason, and sometimes we try to change the path because we're scared, like you said, the unknown. Like myself, I'm scared of the unknown because I don't know what the unknown going to bring me. But one thing for sure is the fact that when I'm taking my last breath on this earth, I don't want to have any regret. And I try to go with the path, and whatever that's going to come my way, I'm going to fight it. And on the way, I know that other women will help me fight it. And that's how I see it. And I'm just grateful to always keep meeting more women and more women like yourself. It's just grateful.
I love that. And I think that you created a network of women wanting to support women. And I think that is so beautiful. And as we link arms and link hands with more women and you go to your website and you just see woman after woman, like accomplished woman after woman after woman after woman. And if you doubt yourself, just go back and read some of those articles and read those stories. We all doubt ourselves. We can't help it. It's human nature. And it is what we do with that doubt is really what is defining. Does that stop me? And so far and moments it will, of course. I'm only human, but I get up and keep going, and I keep pushing, and I keep pushing, and open up that market and open up that market. And I feel like if you dream it and if you believe it, you will see it. And I believe in what I'm doing. I believe that it brings comfort. I went to so many people to tell me why it's not comfortable, and I've not found one. So
that's because it is.
It's really comfortable.
It is because it is comfortable. So they don't have anything to complain about,
So will it take me a little bit longer maybe than the other average woman? Money's, I'm bootstrapping. Money's always a challenge. My parents have both passed now, so I don't have the parental support of you can do anything you want. But I play over their encouragements to me, and I have really a great family structure with my eldest and my son and my husband. They're my biggest supporters. So it's really important to.
Yes, it
and they'll also be.
Oh my goodness, Janice, you're awesome. Any words of advice for future women entrepreneurs?
Advice for women entrepreneurs. Believe in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, listen to another woman who believed in herself and then get the courage from her and borrow the courage until you create your own courage, because your courage is there. Sometimes I go back to my 4-year-old self, and my 4-year-old self was fearless, and my 4-year-old self wanted the world, and my 4-year-old self demanded to be seen and to be heard. And I sometimes have to dig back to my 4-year-old self. And so when women are wanting to follow something or wanting to go forward, sometimes you just need to go back to your little girl inside of you and just say, yeah, would she say no? Probably not. And then honor her if you need that courage, because it's there, it's in you. And the more you do, the more courageous you will keep getting. And that builds on each other. So I believe in yourself, really.
Yes, just believe in yourself. Well said. Just that. Well, thank you, Janice, for this conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to tell us more about Tausi, which is a wonderful pillowcase, and I cannot wait to get one. I can use it especially in the bed when I'm, doing the double work. So I appreciate you creating something like that, thinking out of the box, and thank you to Grandpa also for bringing that idea to your mind, because all the thanks to him. Without him, you probably will still have it, but it comes faster with him. Mm-hmm. And I said thank you, and keep doing what you are doing. Don't give up. And when you feel like giving up, reach out to other women, and you have the support. Not all of us are bad. Some of us are great women out there that want to support other women and see each other growing and be where we need to be, and then creating an example for the next generation.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm over the moon grateful to you and your team for reaching out and for letting me share my story. It's really been such a joy, and I really appreciate this opportunity.
A great conversation with Janice. I love the story of Tausi and the inspiration behind it. Tausi is more than just a business to Janice. It's a passion for caring for others. Remember to get yourself a pillowcase from Tausi and support a woman-owned brand. Thank you, Janice, for taking the time to have this conversation with me. Let me know your thoughts about this episode with Janice. And to learn more about Janice and Tausi, visit www.tausibrands.com. Thank you for listening to Female Founders Podcast. That's it for this week's episode. Be sure to follow us on your favorite podcast app or connect with us on womel.com so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time. Bye for now.